This, this is turning into the horse heresy. We're gonna have like 30,000 novels here.
This
Hobby
is,
Store
people
series
think this is going to be like 6 parts.
Yeah.
This might be like 50 parts.
This might be a 50-part series, so
be,
strap in and get ready or whatever. There's gonna be some bad ones too, just like the horse heresy.
Just like the horse heresy. There's going to be some episodes of this that you're going to be like, boring.
Yeah, this is a stupid topic or whatever. It's like, we're gonna cover everything. Including how to sweep the floor.
Yes. Kind of
left to right or right to left?
Right to left. Up and down. Wax on, wax off. Yeah.
So today we're going to cover, obviously we're into our house segment. This is part 5. And we're going to cover something that might not be something you think about immediately when you walk into a hobby shop, but hopefully the people that opened that place thought about it a lot, which is the physical layout of the shop and sort of like the elements that kind of incorporate that, like all the furniture, where things are put, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Lighting even, things like that, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I think for us, we started with a very basic plan based on the hobby shops we would go to. We thought to ourselves, this was sort of like an interesting exercise, what do we like about how things are laid out there, and how do we like shopping there, which is I think a big important one.
Yeah. And
then also what do we think we could improve on and that sort of thing. So that kind of like is the beginning of the conversation, sort of creating a plan for yourself.
Yeah. So this kind of a couple of things. I mean, you're gonna have to like find or source places that you can obtain these like wall units and furnitures and things like that. And here's where like this is the tricky part, because like I would say we went in the middle. There's like we could have spent more money, but I don't know if there's like a diminishing return there too, I guess, on like whether it's like the type of slat wall you buy or like merchandising units. Obviously, if you can save $1 here and there, like finding some like good condition used stuff is probably good.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I guess my point here in general is like be smart about it. Like I would say if you have a certain amount of budget, whatever it is, maybe I'm just going to use a generic round number. Let's say it's $100,000 or whatever. Maybe
you're too rich to open a hobby store.
That's sorry, $99,999.
Oh, you don't have enough money. You shouldn't do it.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Rudy. So yeah. Anyway, so there's like a thing here where I think if like getting the shiniest, most like impressive looking, like whatever you want to call it, display cabinets and slat wall and gaming tables, all this stuff, it looks really cool, but it's so expensive.
Yeah.
And you may better use that money on probably stock, to be honest.
Yeah, 100% if you're tight for money.
Or your cushion of money to pay staff or rent for the coming months. So, you kind of have to go in, I would say, a little leaner. You could be a little janky at first, but you could build up to the good stuff. So
so the big decision, I think, there's really cheap options, like you can go to IKEA and get things like Billy's and Kallaxes and Stocker and sure, the upside is they're really inexpensive and can hold a decent amount of stuff. The downside is you'll find over time is they're very inflexible. So they generally have like a very set type of space, and usually the products kind of fit inefficiently in those spaces. So obviously shelving that you can like remove and take apart and move around, that's obviously going to be your most flexible option. But it usually starts in the middle of pricing and kind of goes up high, right? So we got like acrylic shelves, which is one of the more pricier kind of ways to go. But
I don't know if there's many other options.
No, that's the thing, right? Yeah, there's not a ton of
shelves cost so much money.
So much money, yeah. So sometimes it's like start with a few good things and just add slowly as you can afford to.
I think that's almost a joke there. I think I would almost like forget stealing product off the wall. I'm gonna steal shelves or whatever. that's. But again, now back to your layout. You want to make sure. Like a lot of people are going to be like, well, I'm going to have game space and whatever. You need to make sure that it doesn't also infringe or make shopping difficult. Like, if you got people playing and bunched together and shoving together to play cards or miniatures, and then you've got like popular items right next to them, it's going to be a disaster because that person's going to be like, I can't even get to that thing, and also probably for security reasons, obviously, like you're just making the theft easier that way.
So yeah, you definitely want to set in your mind. So like obviously we talked about opening different types of stores. Not all of you guys are going to be opening a miniature shop. It might be a board game cafe. Think about the thing that's making you money and keeping the lights on and feeding your kids or whatever. right? What is that? Okay, that should be the most important thing in your store. The most important thing in your store needs the most space allocated to it.
Yeah.
Like Jay said, that means not crowding it up against something that doesn't necessarily make you money, or making the experience not as enjoyable for the person while they're browsing your wares or whatever. So something to keep in mind. Obviously, the smaller your shop, the harder that becomes.
Yeah, ideally, the gaming space has no product in it at all. Like it's basically like separated
in a perfect world
in such a way that there's not. Because, like, look, as much as, like, you know, the vast majority of people playing in your store and whatever are good people, and they're not likely going to steal or whatever, but
it happens, let me tell you.
It does, and you're just asking for it.
You are asking a little bit for it. Like, you're combining backpacks and army cases in a very close proximity with, like, very expensive product. Let's be real. Like, you know, a kit this big could be like $100. So
easily.
And when you're starting out, those little minor details can sink you pretty quickly, like if you're just getting stolen from every week or whatever.
Yeah. So,
not to be cynical about the whole thing, but you definitely are, as Jason said, asking for it. Or whatever by doing.
I don't know. Do whatever you can. I mean, I remember even when we opened, like, we had the gaming tables upstairs. We didn't really have any option to put them anywhere else. It was okay. I think now, you know, once we got the gaming space going,
it felt way better after
the basement, and then we could turn our top floor into pure.
I think the thing there, and this is not to offend you, like, I'm obviously a person who plays miniature games. I don't take offense to this. Normies, we'll call them, okay, who are walking into your shop for the first time, that don't understand the miniature wargaming hobby.
Yeah.
Might look at you as a person playing a game and be like, that person's a little weird or whatever. That's just like that's a pretty normal reaction. Jay and I worked in mall stores for years.
It's true.
People would look at us like we were zoo animals on the other side of glass from the outside of the store, and I'd be like, hi, I can see you too, and they'd be like, oh, you know,
it's true.
And so it's being mindful of that, and necessarily that, like, people that are newer and maybe want to look around your shop might feel a little intimidated if they have to brush butts with somebody who's, like, you know, playing a game and being rowdy or loud and having a good time or whatever in your shop. That might not be the best situation for shopping to occur necessarily, right?
No. Yeah, and I think the players too, they might not like random people breathing down their neck watching.
Yeah, it goes both ways for sure. Yeah,
they might just want to, like.
They don't want to be the zoo animals or whatever.
No, they don't.
They're like, I'm just here to enjoy my game.
Oh my god. Yeah.
The guy walks up to like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Is that? You guys like to do this?
You're so close.
They're always close. They're close talkers or whatever.
Close. Yeah.
So that sort of stuff matters a lot. I think getting that right, if you can, from the beginning is good. It's like separation of church and state. You know, it's like you want to have your clearly defined shopping area, and then your your casual leisure area. And if those places can be separate, I think that's ideal, essentially.
Yeah. And then the other thing is probably going to turn into, like, things I've seen that I'm like, don't do that or whatever. I remember one case, there was a store somewhere that had, like, they're like, we're going to put our paint rack next to the door. I'm like, oh, great. Put the tiny poppable items within 3 feet of the door or whatever. It's like, and then also, even if the people aren't stealing, I want people to walk in and then block the door by browsing paints for 15 minutes.
Absolutely, yeah. These are like, things you just need to think about for sure.
These, like, so if you have any retail experience at all, which I think a lot of people do, people's early jobs are in or current jobs are in retail environments. Look around, look how these, even the big box stores, lay things out. You know, they typically put certain things they want to move quickly, maybe closer to the door. They want you to notice it right away. But then they tend to also make sure to put certain things. Especially small items and stuff, they don't want them right there. They want to put them somewhere in the middle or whatever.
Well, and it makes sense, right? Like, quite literally, you know, more than half of the people that enter your shop won't make it all the way to the back.
No, you should put your paints in the back. Do the grocery store thing. Put the milk and eggs, put the primer and the paint. Make them go do a full tour of the store.
Yeah, exactly. You can almost do the IKEA thing where people have to walk a certain way.
Yeah.
If you want to be deliberate with things, right? Where you put things matters. And I think one of the strategies we've had, which I think has worked well, is we try to front load the shop with things that are for a bigger group of people.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it's more niche.
Group the items in your store in terms of, like, how many people will be interested in them. So, like, for example, in our world, board games would be number one in terms of like any person walking in could be interested in a board game, whether they're into Warhammer or not, or they just ate at the restaurant across the street from us. It's literally a potential customer. Next up is basically someone who might buy Pokemon or a card game, sort of like D&D in that, or D&D. I'd kind of put those all in the same group, and those are really close to the front of the shop as well. We originally had like kind of like our big IP brands like Star Wars and Marvel and stuff closer to the front of the shop too, because it's easier to kind of bridge the things together. You'd be like, oh yeah, this is a hobby where you get to paint Iron Man and build them yourself, right? It's a little, they can relate to that a little bit more. And then as further as you get into the hobby supply stuff, which is definitely way more niche, the 40K, the Age of Sigmar, and then you get to like more of the small collected sort of like more niche miniature games as you get into the back of the shop, right? So that's kind of putting that into context a little bit, right? Yeah, and all of our this is another kind of like retail thing that you see a lot of stores is while you're lining up to cash out, absolutely all of the essentials and things people buy all the time are right there.
Yeah, literally right under the till is like primers and varnishes and all the glues and everything, and copies of White Dwarf and tins of Mastery dice. Yeah, these are all huge impulse buys, and yeah, almost 9 out of 10 times someone will be buying X thing and they're like, oh, I need this, and they add it to the
there's visual reminders, right? That we're doing the best job we can to try to like remind the person about the things that they need, but you can't be perfect, and if your store's working with you as opposed to working against you, that can be really helpful.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah. So, and then in terms of like what you absolutely need versus what is nice to have. So obviously we're going to be a little biased. We're going to try to be as objective as we can, but biased, like Jay and I really like having a painting space. If you're going to sell miniatures and paints, I think having a small space, whether it's 2, 4, 6 seats, to actually sit down with customers and do things, I think it's absolutely vital and is going to give you an advantage over someone buying something online, because they can tangibly see how it benefits them to come into your shop, right?
Yeah, I mean, small, like you said, it could be a small multi-purpose space. I know it's tough because you're like giving up floor space for shelves and things like that. Depends on what kind of store you have, but it could be like, it could be a really simple, almost we call it a demo table or a work table, and you can run a little game or paint or whatever if you're in the hobby side, or play some Magic or whatever. Those personal connections with the different customers is actually like massive. Like, I think if you're gonna open a hobby store of any kind and you're like kind of like not, I mean, we've all met some of these characters, they're just like behind the glass or the till or whatever, and they just kind of fetch items for you, and there's not very there's like terse reaction conversations with them. Oh, what do you want? Oh, I'll get this, okay, and then off you go. Like those I find like those are too transactional, and people don't tend to like, they'll get what they want and then they'll kind of either never come back, or they'll only come back because maybe the thing's in stock or there's price. But if you want to have a thriving, living hobby store with soul in it, then you have to be one of those people that likes not just talk to people, but like willing, like engaging them in how you can help them or whatever. So.
And that kind of goes back to the store help, like is part of helping your job, right? So if you don't have those things that let you do that, you can't do them. Yeah. Like if you don't have a place where you can sit down and show someone how to paint red,
this happens all the time.
It never gives you the opportunity to add that value to that customer's experience.
Exactly.
Right?
Someone will be like, "How do I've been trying this and that," and then I'll be like, "Come over here," and I'll just like
do
it in front of them.
It's amazing. Like, it wasn't amazing 10 years ago, but it's amazing now because like I think people's experiences have changed so much. That people are so blown away when you actually take the time, like even 5 minutes just to show them in person. People are like, "Holy cow, you just did that," or whatever.
And usually those things translate into sales instantly or whatever, or they're just happy to like, wow, someone was real with me or whatever.
Honestly, it makes you feel good too. Like running the shop, like it's like we love teaching, and it's like part of the reason we did this in the first place. It's it makes you feel like you're actually building something real. I think it goes back to your point about soul, which I think is so important.
I mean, even the best card stores have like staff and people that play and know tons about the games. And they go to events. They it's like you're gonna you can build that rapport and trust. I think it's natural with any super niche product or whatever. If I'm going to be buying a camera or a computer or whatever, I want to talk to a guy who like uses that thing, knows about it, can tell me why, and has like real life experience with those tools. And it's, even if they're not sort of professional, that fact that they can like give you that information, and it's like, yeah, you're way more willing to be like, yeah, and then you always come back to that guy. Like it's it's pretty powerful actually. Like I know Warhammer's ubiquitous enough, and it's like it's like a pretty massive brand now in its own thing, and you can buy it everywhere. But I find those experiences don't go very like that. Like it's like there's so many of our customers that are like almost like 20 plus years. I know we've only been open for almost 10, but we have customers from like our Games Workshop days and stuff. It's like pretty crazy that you have,
it's wild, right?
These people coming in like literally 20 years later, and they'll like, we have so many people, even they don't even live near us, they don't even game here, but they will come here specifically. They'll drive an hour just to buy like 6 paints because they'd rather one of us give them that like trusted, whatever you call it, information that, you know, they'll know if they buy it from us that it's going to work, and etc. And it's like very powerful. Like,
yeah, and it's amazing. Like it's amazing on both sides because we have this like amazing, meaningful relationship with that person. We actually care about their hobby and them as a person. Like we probably know more about their life than like. You know, like we care to even let on because we've had so many chats over the years with that person about how their life is, and you know, I always like it.
I know how many kids they have. I know.
Yeah, I always like in our job to like. It is a lot like being a bartender. You know,
it is.
Where you're kind of like you just kind of socializing as part of the job for sure.
Yeah.
But so to really kind of summarize the video, I think if I was to give one major thing that kind of covers everything, a TLDR or a theme is it's essentially. Don't just put stuff in your shop where you think it should go. You want to think about how is the store going to help you do your job every day. How's the physical layout and where you put items and what you put in your store. How is that going to help you serve your customers, create that soul, help you make a living in kind of the most efficient way possible.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I guess we'll just end it there then.
That's it then. That's
Finito,
it.
bonito.
Finito, bonito.
I think, and if you made it this far in the video, we appreciate you watching the whole thing. It's crazy that people actually watch the whole thing. But if you wouldn't mind giving us a sub on YouTube and consider supporting us on Patreon, you can even just chip in $3 a month, and that helps us, upgrade our camera, get fancier microphones, start doing crazy things. We don't even know yet.
Yeah. But so crazy, we don't even know.
That's how crazy they are. Yeah. Do more. It incentivizes us to do more videos, right? Essentially. So if you like it, consider checking it out. Until next time, until part 6 next week. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.